He is one of Kenya's independence heroes. His legacy is visible across the city. Standing here on Kimathi Street in Nairobi, Kenya, there is a question that still lingers.
Where exactly was Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi buried?
A man who played a pivotal role in Kenya's independence still lies in an unmarked grave at Kamiti Maximum Prison. He has never been accorded a state funeral.
For decades, successive governments have talked about exhuming his remains from Kamiti Prison to accord him the funeral befitting his stature, but nothing has happened.
And perhaps that tells us something about the threat he once represented. Because Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi Washuri asked a question that shook colonial Kenya. Who owns the land?
And who has the right to rule the people on it?
That question cost him his life. Born in 1920, he grew up inside a colonial system built on racial hierarchy and economic control. He attended mission school, worked clerical and teaching jobs, and briefly served in the King's African Rifles during the Second World War. From within those institutions, he saw the structure clearly. Land had been taken. Africans were pushed into reserves and subjected to heavy hard taxes that forced many into labor on settlers' farms. Political power remained firmly in colonial hands.
By the early 1950s, frustration had hardened. Out of that pressure came the Mau Mau Uprising, an armed anti-colonial movement made up of Kenyan fighters, many from the Kikuyu community,
who retreated into the forest to resist British rule. At its core, it was a struggle for land and self-determination. Oaths were taken, loyalty was sworn, secrecy and discipline bound the movement together. In the forest around Mount Kenya and the Aberdares, Kimathi rose to become Field Marshal of the Kenya Land and Freedom Army. He insisted this was not disorder, it was a liberation struggle with structure and command. When he was captured in 1956, the colonial administration moved swiftly. He was tried under emergency regulations and convicted for unlawful possession of a firearm.
That was the official charge, but to many Kenyans, the objective went far beyond a weapon.
He had become the most visible symbol of resistance. On 18th February 1957 at Kamiti Prison, he was executed by hanging. He was 36 years old. Before his execution, his wife Mukami was secretly brought to see him. He told her he had committed no crime except being a Kenyan revolutionary who led a liberation army. His blood, he said, would water the tree of independence. After his death, his body was not returned to his family. He was buried inside the prison grounds. No marker, no publicly known grave. The regime understood what a grave could become, a rallying point, a permanent symbol. They tried to bury the meaning with the man.
6 years later, Kenya gained independence. We learn his name in school. We stand before his statue. Streets carry his name.
But he has never been given the full national honor his sacrifices deserve. No state funeral, no marked resting place. And beyond Kenya, his name does not always carry the continental weight it should. When we speak of African revolutionaries who paid with their lives, names like Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, Steve Biko, and Thomas Sankara echo across the continent.
Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi belongs in that conversation. We must not forget everyone that gave everything so that we can stand here free today.